I mistook my boyfriend's twin brother for him. And kissed him. The jig was up, and he was trying to play it off like it was no big deal. His hot, insistent kisses were relentless. When I finally bit his lip, drawing blood, he just licked it away, smirking. "Me and my bro share a thing, babe," he said. "You bit me hard, like you wanted to make sure he knew." I woke up parched and went to the living room for some water. The cool liquid soothed my throat, washing away the last of my sleepiness. Liam was on a business trip, and being alone in the apartment felt weird. When he was home, there was always a glass of water waiting for me on the nightstand. Then, a familiar sound, the apartment door opening. I looked up, and there he was. Liam. 1 minute I was missing him, and the next he was right in front of me. "Liam." I tossed my water cup on the table, rushed over, and threw my arms around him, burying my face in his chest. I took a deep breath, inhaling his scent. It was floral and fruity, not his usual soapy smell. Must have washed his clothes at the hotel, I thought. "I thought you were going to be gone for 2 weeks? Why are you back so soon?" I wrapped my arms tighter around his lean waist. He tensed for a second, then returned the hug, pulling me close. Leaning my head against his left pec, I felt his heartbeat getting faster and faster. The heat from his skin radiated through his shirt, sending shivers down my spine. I could hear his breathing pick up, and I pulled back to look into his eyes. They were dark and full of desire. His long lashes fluttered like little brushes, teasing me. His arms tightened around me. I could feel how badly he wanted me, but he held back. I stood on my tiptoes, getting close and making my voice all soft and pouty. "Don't you miss me, Liam?" He parted his lips, about to answer, but I beat him to it, pressing my mouth against his. One kiss broke the dam, and he took control, his kisses more intense, not the gentle teasing I was used to. We were tangled in a web of hot breaths and whispered moans, my hands slipping under his sweatshirt, exploring his sides. Then I felt it, a long, raised scar on his lower right torso. Liam didn't have a scar there. Something was wrong. A cold wave washed over me and I shoved him away. His gaze was still locked on me, like strands of silk wrapping around me. I backed up, voice trembling. You're not Liam." His eyes cleared for a beat, then went back to that same dangerous, predatory look. "If I'm not Liam, then who am I?" Staring into that face, identical to Liam's, I felt my skin crawl. Liam had never mentioned a twin brother. But a twin brother was the only explanation for this situation. I glanced up warily, meeting the guy's gaze. It was like a cat sizing up its prey, playful, challenging, and determined. I wanted to get away from this stranger, but he grabbed me and pulled me into his arms again. And just like that, the hot, insistent kisses returned. My arms were pinned above my head, and I bit down on his lip, hard. The metallic tang of blood filled our mouths. He pulled back, tracing my lips with his finger. He licked the blood off his own lip, a strange smile playing on his face. "Me and my bro share a thing, babe," he said. "You bit me hard, like you wanted to make sure he knew." My brain was a tangled mess, and suddenly, everything went blank. I stared at him, confused. A twin brother was something I could have guessed. But the shared thing? He gently brushed a strand of hair off my face, his voice tinged with a hint of annoyance. "Didn't he tell you? He has a twin brother, named Cole. We feel each other, physically." My heart clenched. "To what extent?" I asked, my brow furrowing. Did this shared feeling extend to more than just pain? Would pleasure be shared as well? Cole seemed to know what I was thinking. He shrugged, feigning innocence. "Care to guess?" I felt a shiver, followed by a blush. Despite being fully dressed, I felt like he had stripped me bare. I wanted to call Liam and ask why he hid Cole and this shared thing from me. As I was getting my bearings, Cole's phone rang. He looked at the caller ID, smirking. "It's my brother. Wanna pick up?" The apartment was quiet except for the phone buzzing on the table. My thoughts were caught in a web, struggling between picking up the phone and ignoring the call, and it was driving me mad. "I'll take it." Cole answered the call, his voice sounding so calm and composed. "Cole? What's up, man? Why'd you take so long to answer the phone?" Liam's voice echoed from the speaker. I held my breath, tense and on edge, while Cole played it cool, like a freaking saint. He picked up a strand of my hair and twirled it around his finger. "Just messing with the cat," he said. "Did that cat scratch your mouth or something? Your lips look a little messed up." Just when Liam's guess was starting to make me feel a little relieved, Cole's answer made my heart plummet again. "Nah." I squeezed Cole's hand, shaking my head at him. He lowered the phone, leaned in, and whispered in my ear, "Kiss me, and I won't tell your boyfriend that you mistook me for him." If looks could kill, Cole would be a pile of ashes by now. What a jerk, taking advantage of my confusion. "So, what was that thing that hurt your mouth? It looked sore. Did you get into something?" Liam continued. "Enough with the guessing." I leaned over and quickly pecked Cole on the cheek. Cole turned his head so that our lips met for a brief, fleeting kiss. He smirked. "The cat bit me." "Did you try stealing its food? Was the cat that pissed?" "Nah, it was a dog." Liam had just unknowingly called himself a dog. Liam kept rambling on, adding, "You've got such a knack for running into trouble. Be careful, will ya? I get dragged into your messes too." The call ended, and my nerves were still shot. These two were so close. Why was Liam keeping this secret from me? The fog of confusion settled back in my mind, thicker than before. Lost in my thoughts, Cole grabbed the back of my neck, and another storm of hot, heavy kisses crashed down on me. I sank onto the entryway bench, my legs feeling like jelly, gulping in the air. Through my tangled hair, I saw Cole wandering around the apartment, like he was staking out his territory. "Why are you still here?" "This is my brother's home, so it's my home too." How freaking shameless. My cat, Mittens, was following him, excitedly rubbing against his legs and meowing. She usually acted all aloof and standoffish, but she was acting like they were best friends. Cole picked her up and started scratching her under the chin. Mittens purred like a tiny motor, flipping onto her back in his arms. He looked down at her thoughtfully, then asked, "How did you and my brother meet?" Like a homewrecker, he was just dying to hear the story of my relationship with my boyfriend. "Why does it matter to you?" To hear the beautiful love story, and then Cole's eyes grew dark, his voice a low rumble of barely contained anger. "Make sure everyone ends up where they belong." This whole charade had to stop. I was serious, my voice stern as I tried to knock some sense into him. "There's no room for a third person in a relationship, Cole. Don't go down this path." "Fine, babe, call me the other man, I guess." He sighed, launching into a long, twisted logic. "If anyone else is the other man, I'd be judging them. If my friend was the other man, I'd warn him to be careful. If I'm the other man, well, this is clearly destiny." I was stunned into silence by Cole's insane thought process. What a nutcase. It was like Liam's genetics had gone off the rails somewhere. The room was quiet except for a soft meow, as if Mittens was cheering him on. That ungrateful little thing. Liam had saved her from under a car. He was the one that scooped the poop every day, yet she wasn't this clingy with him. Mittens had played Cupid for Liam and me. I still remember that bone-chilling day in winter. The sun was hiding, and stray cats and dogs were all hiding under cars to keep warm. Mittens was stuck under Liam's car, mewling helplessly. No matter what I tried, she wouldn't come out. I was desperate, but as a broke student, I couldn't just do anything. I called the car owner, Liam, and that's when he came into my life. He was wearing thin layers, and yet he looked tall and lean. His eyes had this intense quality that was mesmerizing. "Hi, I called about your car. I think there's a kitten under it. The ground was covered with dirty, melting snow. Liam didn't seem to notice. He went down on the ground and squeezed under the car. His thin layers didn't hamper his moves, and he quickly pulled the kitten out. She was a calico. A cross-species rescue operation. The kitten nestled in Liam's arms, looking helpless. Liam breathed out a plume of white breath, voice trembling. She's not hurt. His ears and the tip of his nose were red and raw, and his clothes were all stained. He looked kind of pathetic. Is this your cat? The stray cat would have a tough time during the winter, and next spring it will probably bring a new litter of strays into the world. I took a sympathetic look at the calico cat, then gave Liam a smile. If you're not planning on taking her in, she's mine. Our eyes met, and Liam gave a small, hesitant nod, then passed the kitten over. He opened his mouth to say something, but then frowned and turned away, sneezing repeatedly. He was covering his nose with one hand. I stifled a giggle and offered him a tissue. Thank you. His voice had this raspy quality to it. Liam turned, his eyes were all watery, like mist in a valley, his hands trembling in the cold air. The knuckles were tinged with pink. He looked so pitiful, it was easy to forget about the dramatic sneezing from before. It's cold out here, go home now. I smiled, urging him to leave. I'll let you know how the kitten is doing. Another huge sneeze interrupted his okay. His cheeks were flushed, maybe from the cold, maybe from embarrassment. He turned towards home, looking back every few steps, until he went into the apartment building next door. The kitten gave a sad mew. The weather was still cold, but my heart was filled with a warm, cozy feeling. I petted the kitten's head and spoke in a gentle voice. We'll see him again. And then what? Cole was speaking with a smile on his face, but I could see the tension in his clenched fist. And then? I took Mittens to the vet, and then I used the phone number to add Liam to WeChat. I told him that Mittens was healthy, and asked him to take care of himself. I sent him a video of Mittens. In the video, my model kit flashed for a brief moment. I remembered our conversation vividly. A Merkava MK 4 meters tank? You're into model kits too? It's a hobby. Liam didn't act like the usual man, either questioning my ability or patronizing me. As a fellow hobbyist, he showed me his works and his collection. He had a number of limited edition car models and Gundam models. Next to the cabinets, there was an unfinished model on the workbench. I squinted and saw that it was a limited edition military model. Hey, can I come over to your house and see your models? Sure, I'd love to see yours, but I need to get over this cold first. It started with love at first sight. After that, we fell for each other slowly. We were perfect for each other. It was natural for us to spark romance. We would put together model kits together. He would file down the parts, and I would repaint them. Each model kit was like a symbol of our love, a testament to our happiness. We would occasionally visit model kit expos and return with bags of goodies. One time, Mittens chewed up a model that I had just finished. I was furious. I wanted to shave her fur off. Liam had also spent a lot of time on this model, but he didn't get angry or mad. He was patient and he comforted me. This is a limited edition one that Mittens made. There's only one of it. Seeing that I calmed down, he quietly fixed the model. To prevent Mittens from making the same mistake, Liam moved all his models to my place, and I moved into his place with Mittens. We were in it for the long haul, and our feelings for each other deepened. Every part of that apartment had some trace of our shared life. Ignoring Liam's lying about Cole and their shared feeling, I didn't doubt his love for me. Cole looked away, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Oh, so sneaky Liam. He was just looking for some free labor. It wasn't free. Liam freely gave me all of his models, and he even had it notarized. Any model kit fan would guard his kits with his life. You think I didn't know that? My unwavering gaze seemed to sting Cole. He was quiet for a while, then asked, looking serious. So, when did you fall for Liam? The first time? I guess it was love at first sight. Cole gave a forced smile, tinged with bitterness. You never felt that when you were with him? Never felt that the way he acts doesn't match how he was when you first met? It was true that things were a little different. I thought Liam was wild and easygoing when I first met him, but later on, he seemed to be more calm and cautious. I didn't dwell too much on it. One time, I thought one of my friends was super cool and aloof, but she ended up being an awkward and hilarious mess. I joked about this with Liam, and he chuckled and said he had a cold that day, which turned him into a total goofball. Cole seemed to be devastated by my explanation. He even told you that? The one you fell for that day was me. It was like a lightning bolt struck me. It all made sense now. He was asking about my first interaction with Liam. It wasn't that he was a side piece asking about the original woman. It was more like the owner was trying to find the thief. I didn't need to verify. Mitten's closeness with Cole was the best evidence. I looked at Cole again, and his eyes were full of hurt. It was like that cold winter day had returned. I felt like I had fallen into a freezing pool. After that first meeting, I told my brother that if that girl ever contacted him, he had to let me know. He didn't. I was busy with work for a while, and when I wanted to find you again, he said you had a boyfriend and were moving. I believed him, because he's my brother. If I hadn't felt something was wrong and come here, he would have kept me in the dark. He was sad for a love that never got a chance to blossom. He was betrayed by his own brother. Cole was tearing up, and his voice started to crack. He looked like a kicked puppy, just like he did on the day we first met. Mittens clumsily climbed into his arms and tried to lick his tears away. He had lost his mind from his emotions and was going to use Mittens to wipe his tears. I couldn't bear to see that and offered him a tissue. Cole grabbed it, the scene bringing even more tears to his eyes. You fell for me. You were supposed to like me. If I didn't experience love at first sight for Cole, would I have slowly fallen for Liam? I didn't dare to explore that question. Everything was in shambles. I really did fall for Cole the first time I saw him, and it was also true that I slowly fell for Liam. This soap opera of a situation was now happening to me. The world really was one big, messy stage. Liam pretended to be Cole that day. That's why he had kept Cole a secret from me. After realizing the truth, I knew Liam was wrong, but I wasn't mad at him. And I didn't want to act against Cole anymore. I was starting to feel some guilt for him. I was at a loss. I stumbled, trying to apologize to Cole. I'm sorry. From a societal standpoint, I'm in a relationship with Liam now, so all I can say is sorry to Cole. But he just cut me off, not giving me a chance to refuse. It's not your fault, and I'm not blaming you. You had never met me before, so how could you tell the difference between me and Liam on the first meeting? Liam was the one who lied to me. This wasn't my fault. So why am I the one hurting? Am I the one who is supposed to get tossed aside? No. Cole's face suddenly contorted into a grimace. He furrowed his brow and clutched his chest tightly. What's wrong? Are you okay? I was worried about Cole. I was also worried about Liam, who was probably also sharing this with Cole. Was Cole in pain because of the sadness that he felt? Or was Liam feeling heart palpitations because of the hard labor of the day? Cole sensed my concern. His brow smoothed and his lashes fluttered as he opened his eyes with a sly glint. He grabbed my wrist and pulled me into his arms, taking in the scent of my hair as he asked, his voice muffled, "When I was feeling that pain, were you worried about me? Or my brother? Was he messing with me?" I tried to pull away, retorting I wasn't worried about anyone. The more I struggled, the tighter he held me, like vines that were impossible to break free from. I don't believe you. You looked conflicted, which proves you didn't only have Liam in your heart. You have me too. That is the trump card that I can use to compete with him. You're just dating, not married or anything. He was the type that would test the waters, even if I was married to Liam. He whispered in my ear, seductive as a demon, he lied about how he felt. That was dishonest, and it makes it okay for us to not be loyal to him. After figuring out the difference between me and Liam, you'll be able to figure out who you like more, won't you? Just try me, please? I frowned, trying to wrap my mind around his twisted logic, when Cole grabbed my chin and gently forced me to nod my head in agreement. What a shameless piece of trash! Knowing I was about to explode, he kissed me to silence me. My logical mind was crushed by his aggressive kisses. He seemed to have a high opinion of his own charm. He stared at me with his hazy eyes and whispered, "Don't be scared. It'll only be a few days. My brother is still out of town, and he won't find out." His eyes were red from tears. He looked almost feral, and it was intoxicating. Liam and Cole look the same, but they are completely different people. Liam is subdued, while Cole is flamboyant. In our relationship, I was the one who caused trouble and Liam was the one who smiled it off. He would be tolerant of my moods, calmly dealing with each of my dramas. No matter how much I messed up, he would never get angry. His face would just turn red, and he would let me do whatever I wanted. Cole was a mess, just like me. When I was acting crazy, he would act even crazier. He was easy to tease, and he would tease me back even harder. He would say the most ridiculous things without batting an eye. He was a troublemaker who enjoyed making my life complicated. For example, when I was video calling Liam, Cole was never quiet. He would try to take my attention away from Liam on the screen. "Are you not feeling well?" Hearing Liam ask that, Cole calmed down a little and pushed Mittens into the camera. He made a mess of things, and he was making me take the fall. "See? Mittens is being a little disobedient lately." Liam looked like he was looking at me and Mittens at the same time. He said with a meaningful voice, "Oh, really? Naughty children need to be punished." He ended the call, telling me to get some rest. After the call, I went to yell at Cole. He immediately apologized and acted all pitiful, letting me hit and yell at him. When I was calm again, he would press up against me and pretend to be stupid, insisting on giving me some sort of compensation. Cole had no trouble pulling me into his arms. His eyes half serious, half teasing. "My brother thinks that you're not feeling well. So, as compensation, I'm going to check your body." My face was burning hot. I tried to push him away, but he didn't move. "Get away from me, and I'll feel better." "Really? But I thought you were." Before he said anything scandalous, I covered his mouth with my hand. Cole was smirking, and he kissed my palm. His voice was silent, but his hands didn't stop. "Cole, are you ever going to stop?" Cole pried my hand away and was going to answer me when we heard a beep. It was the sound of the door unlocking. My heart constricted, and my body froze into a block of wood. I turned my head with great difficulty and saw Liam, with his suitcase standing by the door. He looked tired. The dark circles under his eyes were pronounced. Liam wasn't in a rage. He wasn't even shouting. He just stared at Cole and me, expressionless, calm as a dead pond. Cole's awkwardness disappeared, and he smoothed my clothes, before standing up and giving Liam a defiant smile. "Bro, you're back early, huh?" Liam simply walked into the room, ignoring Cole and opening his luggage. There were a few clothes in the corner. The rest of the space was filled with different local specialties, and a limited edition car model. I remember asking Liam why he needed such a big suitcase when he only had a few clothes for this business trip. Turns out, it was for my presents. He started taking things out of the suitcase one by one. This one is spicy and sweet. You're gonna love it. These plums are good, but they're cold in nature. Eat them sparingly. This model kit, I saw it at a show. I remember you missing this 1:64 scale series. It took me a long time to get it. Liam even had a tiny smile on his lips. Liam. He looked up at me, asking tentatively, "What's wrong, babe? Do you not like the gifts?" I glanced at Cole, then at Liam, not knowing where to start. We've been apart for so long. Don't you miss me? Liam stood up, reaching his arms out to me. I'm so tired. Can I have a hug? I hesitated before stepping forward, and he was happy to pull me into a hug. I could smell his familiar scent. I was starting to feel emotional. He held me tight, and gently stroked my head. I looked up into his eyes, and I realized that he was staring at Cole. His gaze was complex. It was a mixture of anger and warning, but also confidence. Seeing that I was looking at him, he looked back down at me. We can deal with our things later. For now, I want to get rid of the third party that messed up our relationship. Every word had an undercurrent of anger. Cole was like a firecracker. He would explode at the slightest provocation. He angrily retorted at Liam, "The person who isn't loved is the side piece. What are you putting on airs for? If babe doesn't like me, I wouldn't have the chance to be a side piece. If you don't like me being a side piece, break up with her and hand her to me. Then, I wouldn't be a side piece anymore. And since she likes me, you are the side piece. This is so funny. We're into each other. What are you yelling about?" An invisible war was taking place in the apartment. I looked at the two of them, feeling lost and helpless. She's young, and she's still learning. She's bound to make a mistake in love. But she loves me the most. If she's not mature enough to see this, why aren't you? Liam's eyes were stern. If you truly love her, you should leave her alone. Don't make things difficult for her. Cole scoffed and folded his arms, sneering. You trash. You are morally blackmailing me. You stole babe from me. If you have even a little conscience, you'd apologize and hand her over to me. When we were young, I told you that I'd give you anything you wanted. If you wanted the stars in the sky, I would give them to you. I'd give you anything. But not her. They were verbally attacking each other, not holding anything back. They used to be the closest siblings. Now, they were fighting over me. It felt like they were about to break up. I was scared to be sucked into this whirlpool. So I became an ostrich and hid my head in the sand. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. The bedroom door closed, separating them from me. I hid under the blankets, and maybe due to lack of oxygen, maybe it was due to exhaustion, I fell asleep quickly. My dreams weren't peaceful, like my body was being pulled by two people at once. It was like my soul was being torn apart, drifting in the air. The sound of Mittens scratching at the door woke me up. I took a deep breath, and tiptoed off the bed, and opened the door just a crack. Mittens immediately came in, and pressed against my leg, looking scared. Through the door, I could see Cole and Liam on the ground, curled up, holding their stomachs, not saying a thing. Their faces were bruised. I didn't know who hit whom first. But due to the shared feeling, they were in pain. They would hit each other, just so the other would be in pain as well. I picked up Mittens and walked out of the room. They looked at me with hopeful eyes, like they were waiting for me to comfort them. But if I approached one of them, the other one might go mad. I'd rather not choose either of them. I took out the first aid kit and put it on the table. I want to go home and get some rest. Don't bother me. Both of their faces had the same hurt expression. Their downcast gaze had the same curve. Remember to take care of your wounds. I walked away, not even giving them a chance to say goodbye. After arriving at home, my heart finally calmed down. Mittens walked straight to her favorite spot and curled up, sleeping contently. The model kits were silent. I couldn't sleep, feeling lost with all this on my mind. I opened my phone and blocked out all of the message apps. I opened up a forum and asked a question anonymously. What do I do when twin brothers both like me? I was pretending to be a friend of a friend, hiding our real identities, and telling strangers our complex story. I stayed at home for a few days, and people started to answer. Just sleep with both of them, it's perfect. Why have two boyfriends that look exactly the same? You've already experienced both of them, just dump them and find someone new. What is this, real-life sandwich romance? How hot! This is my new ship. You can date two people, that's not against the law. One in the left chamber, the other in the right. Take them all. Everyone has busy lives. Don't type so much if you're not gonna use color in the text. Regardless of gender, dating two people is trashy. How are you any different from the scum male leads? Those two guys are also trash. How could they not see that? Thank you for the previous answer. I understand why those trash male leads like having two people fighting over them. Are they treating you like an object or a resource? Have they even considered your feelings? If they were putting themselves in your shoes, they should be able to live in peace and serve you. Whatever, I'm here to wait for the next update. This society had way more acceptance than I thought it had. Could three people ever live in peace? That's not something I could control on my own. Liam and Cole were blood brothers, and they were already fighting each other for me. It was hard to even say if they would be on friendly terms again, not to mention me. Would there ever be a quiet day? Hold up. It's hard to go back to a normal relationship after a messed up relationship. You're gonna feel like you're caught in a swamp, and you're gonna sink deeper as you struggle. My morals were getting lower. I was starting to think about living with them. Triangles are stable, but not in love. And if I really did go down that route, I wouldn't be able to handle the judgment from society. There's no need for me to make things even more complicated for myself. After thinking this through, I started to clear my head. I was focusing too much on my relationship, and I forgot that my life was supposed to have other things in it. I should volunteer at animal shelters, or go to art expos. I was starting to plan out my trip, when I saw Mittens in the corner, and the model kits on the shelf. They were in my thoughts. Maybe my experience with love was limited. That was why I couldn't get over them. I needed to try new things, meet new people, and start my life over. I locked the cabinet and left Mittens at a trustworthy pet hotel. I started to travel. I went to a new place, with a new group of people. We went into the mountains and the seas, to witness the vastness of the world. All of my troubles faded away, scattered across the road. In a small city, I ran into someone who looked a lot like Liam and Cole. They could be long-lost siblings. This person was a bookstore owner, and his last name was the same as mine. I was working on my drawings at the bookstore when I saw his familiar face. My heart skipped a beat. Maybe I just liked his face. He had a personality that was in between Liam and Cole. He wasn't too wild, but he wasn't too serious. Liam and Cole had a tendency to ignore others. But the owner was a businessman. He was warm and kind to everyone. I asked him for a cup of coffee. The latte art was a cute little cat. I instantly thought about Mittens. I didn't tell him anything, but he had added a lot of milk, which is exactly how I liked it. I closed my eyes contently, looking at his busy silhouette. I would suddenly see Liam, and then Cole. I was exhausted from traveling. My eyelids were heavy. In my dream, I was a tiny boat, drifting on the vast ocean. But the waves were burning hot, the heat causing me to choke. A large wave crashed on the boat, and I was sucked into a whirlpool. I was surrounded by a warm current, dragged into the depths. I woke up, and I was still at the table in the bookstore. I was still wearing my clothes. Other than having a headache, I felt fine. It was way past closing time. The only light that was on was the one near the counter. Sorry, I slept for too long. The owner smiled and shook his head. It's fine. Come back anytime. Do you want me to drive you back to your hotel? Thank you, no. He shook his keys. It's late and the bookstore is far out of town. I can give you a ride. On the third day that he gave me a ride home, he grabbed my hand and kissed the back of my hand. I allowed this short-lived romance during my travels, chalking it up to a fling in a small town. On the fourth day, he grabbed my hand and kissed the back of my hand again. You've already confessed yesterday, Mr. Last name. He gave a little smile. That's different. I frowned for a moment. What was different about it? Before I left, I leaned over and kissed him. He hesitated for a moment, before taking control and making the kiss even deeper. I could sense the underlying passion beneath his gentle appearance. In the second that his hands cupped my head, I thought of Cole. This messy, skilled kiss was his trademark style. I reached my hand under his shirt, but I didn't feel a scar. It wasn't him. I actually felt a little disappointed. Not happy that I wasn't fully focused. Mr. Last name playfully bit my lips. But he really did feel like him. Maybe God was helping me choose a new life. The kisses were different again the next day. They were full of tenderness and seduction. It was like he was trying to match my pace. He held my hand, slowly and carefully, like Liam would when we kissed. Something was up. I paid close attention to him, and I found that Mr. Last name's emotions and personality were consistent. Only his kissing style would be different. One day passionate, one day gentle. I fell asleep at the bookstore again. This time, I barely managed to open my eyes. My vision was blurry, but I could tell I was on a bed, and there were two people next to me. One handsome face on the left, and another on the right, looking exactly the same. Even with my foggy brain, I knew what was going on. Liam and Cole were both playing the same person. And to keep me from suspecting, Cole had even gone to have his scar removed. Mr. Last name was their version of the other. They were each imitating each other's personality. They had the shared feeling, so they were familiar with each other's emotions, personalities, and habits. But they didn't know the other person's unique way of kissing. Well, that was normal. It'd be weird if they did. Through their dialogue, I slowly pieced together the truth of this affair. What if Babe finds out who we really are? We're pretending to be the same person. Whoever she guesses at the end wins. The other one leaves. We don't want her to be sad. But what if she doesn't find out? Then we'll just keep pretending to be Mr. Last name, taking turns, so she doesn't have to be in a hard position. Can't the three of us just live together? Babe left without saying anything. It means she would rather not choose anyone than get sucked into this messed up relationship. We can't be that selfish. I hope she doesn't find out, that way neither of us has to leave, and she won't get any judgment from other people. If we can't give her a healthy relationship, we'll put on a show of what a healthy relationship should be. I felt like I was back at the table in the bookstore. I rested my chin on my hand and opened my eyes slowly. These two didn't have any morals, but they were also trying to see things from my point of view. They had some morals, but not enough. I updated that question on the forum. They are pretending to be the same person and dating me, and they think I don't know. I didn't care what the others had to say anymore. My journey had broadened my horizons, and I wasn't nearly as lost as I had been at the beginning. If the person involved doesn't care, then no one else should be butting in. There aren't that many people watching our lives. If my new life involved these two, so be it. I was starting to wonder what they would do if I acted like I didn't know anything, and started to pressure them into marrying me. Would they keep dating me forever? It was not entirely impossible. Secrets never stay buried. The smartest people often end up tripping over themselves. I was curious to see the day that they messed up. "Let's go, babe. I'll drive you back to the hotel." I followed him, a mischievous smile playing on my lips. Was this Liam or Cole today? I'd know when we kissed goodbye.